The movie opens with Quam, a self-proclaimed sweet boy and high-rolling entrepreneur who confidently groups himself with tech giants like Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg. Quam wasn't always this rich. He started out as a humble security guard. However, after a stroke of luck left him with some gifted cash, he flipped his fortune through sports betting, forex, and cryptocurrency trading. Now he brags as the king of cryptocurrency, even if he can barely pronounce the word. With a massive bank account backing him up, proper pronunciation is the least of his worries. The illusion of total control begins to shatter one evening at an upscale club. Quam arrives at the club to find another group occupying his favorite VIP table. Unwilling to tolerate the disrespect, he casually demands they vacate the premises. When they scoff and refuse, Quam tries to flex his financial muscle, offering them 1 million naira, and then aggressively bumping it up to 5 million naira just to walk away. The table bursts into laughter, and one woman openly mocks him, calling him a basic Yahoo boy. Just as the tension peaks, Ozzy smoothly declines his money, but rather she invites Quam to join their table instead. Quam only that his female escort should go, saying that it would only cost her 1 or 2 designers bag to apologize. Hooked by her charm, Quam gently sinks into their high-end world, ordering expensive cocktails and canapes, which he hilariously suspects are hard drugs after someone mentions they release dopamine. As the night progresses, the chemistry between Quam and Ozzy intensifies, leading them to a private boat cruise. But just as Quam thinks he's won the night, Ozzy's specialized bat phone rings. She answers and suddenly becomes visibly stressed, spinning a tale about an urgent international investment deal in Gabon. She claims the deal will yield a massive 10 times the return, but the catch is a steep 1 billion naira buy-in slot. Desperate to prove he belongs in her elite social circle, Quam practically begs to be let in on the action. After some intense negotiation, Quam initially offered 50 million, but Ozzy declined, insisting that the minimum buy-in is a 1 billion. After some back-and-front movement, Ozzy plays the reluctant benefactor, pretending to do him a massive favor by lowering his entry fee to 500 million naira. Blinded by lust and a bruised ego, Quam hurriedly puts his trousers back on and follows her into the night. They arrive at a shadowy, specialized firm called Avatar Investment. The manager, a woman named Malta, puts on a theatrical performance, claiming all slots are completely full before agreeing to squeeze Quam in, provided he pays on the spot. Completely ensnared, Quam doesn't hesitate. He instantly liquidates 500 million naira from his Bitcoin account. His transaction goes through, and Ozzy leaves him aroused, cold, and entirely alone in a purple-lit room. The harsh reality hits the next afternoon. Quam wakes up to a frantic phone call from his crypto company. The representative drops a bombshell. 500 million naira has been moved to a Gabon trust account, leaving his personal balance at a pitiful 2.5 million naira. Pure panic sets in. He sprints to his wealthy friend Rodamai, hoping for answers, but Rodamai bursts into hysterical laughter. Rodamai points out the obvious. Making 10 times your investment in a single year is a mathematical impossibility, and Quam has been completely scammed. Denial takes over. Quam fiercely insists his investment is safe and real. Seeing his friend's desperation turn into madness, Rodamai takes him to see his cousin Hadiza, the head of a cybercrime security unit. Hadiza doesn't even need to hear the whole story before recognizing the playbook. She reveals that Quam was perfectly targeted by the Baro Boys, Triple B, a ruthless, highly sophisticated fraud syndicate led by a beautiful mastermind who has stolen over $100 million. When Hadiza bluntly delivers the bad news, that it could take 2 to 3 years just to potentially trace his money, Quam realizes he can't wait. He storms out, determined to take the law into his own hands. Quam races back to the Avatar Investment office, but the trap has already been packed up. The office is entirely empty. The building manager, Dada, acts completely clueless, hilariously insisting that a highly convenient electrical fire just happened to destroy all the security footage, leaving nothing behind but charcoal. Losing his mind, Quam threatens Dada before storming back out to the street. As he scans the area in a rage, luck finally swings his way. Quam spots Emeka, one of the men who was sitting with Ozzy in the club the night before. Quam hunts him down, tackles him aggressively, and channels his inner ghetto soldier, threatening Emeka's life by claiming to be a hardened, hired killer. Terrified and shaking, Emeka breaks, confessing that he is nothing more than a low-level errand boy for the syndicate. Seeing an opportunity, Quam pivots from violence to bribery, offering Emeka a diamond-encrusted Patek Philippe ring worth $20,000. With Emeka now playing along, Quam set a trap for Dada, making the building manager believe that he was sent by Ozzy to complete the task that was happened earlier was a setup to see if he would break or give them up. Totally fooled and thoroughly impressed, Dada smiles and pulls out his phone to call the big boss at the request of Quam. Just as the call connects, Quam lunges forward and snatches the ringing phone right out of Dada's hand. On the other end, Ozzy answers, expecting her associate. Instead, Quam unleashes a wall of fury, screaming at her, calling her a scandalous prostitute, and demanding every single kobo of his money back. The line goes quiet for a second. Then Ozzy responds with chilling, unbothered composure. She calmly tells him there is absolutely no need to be rude, addresses him formally as Mr. Omoli, and hangs up the phone. Left with a dial tone, Quam smashes the phone on the ground in a fit of absolute rage, realizing that despite all his chasing, he is still entirely in the dark. The scene changes to a car where Quam and Emika are driving, trying to figure out their next course of action. Suddenly, Emika spots a flyer for Avatar Investments and realizes he recognizes the printing company. Quam immediately tells him to drive there. When they arrive at the printing company, the manager initially refuses to cooperate. However, after some intense back-and-forth negotiations, and Quam threatening to involve the police, the man in charge agrees to hand over the delivery address for 100,000 naira. Upon reaching the location, Quam wastes no time. Seeing Ozzy drive into the compound, he rushes in after her. Armed guards immediately give chase, but before they can apprehend him, Quam accidentally knocks a senator into the swimming pool. Oh God, I wish they could do this to all the senators in Nigeria. Quam is promptly arrested by the senator on charges of attempted murder and terrorism. He begins shouting about his rights, claiming he is a descendant of Ken Saro-Wiwa and that Femi Falana will defend him. But let's be honest, at this point, not even very dark man could save him. The scene then shifts to Quam's best friend, Rautimi, pleading with his cousin Hadiza, who happens to be the head of a cybercrime security unit. Hadiza is furious, explaining that getting Quam out on bail will be incredibly difficult because the senator is highly influential. Later on, Ozzy visits Quam in jail. Furious, Quam lunges at her, but Emika steps in and tackles him to the ground. Ozzy then reveals a shocking twist. Emika has been part of her group all along. He is a former US Special Forces soldier who began working for her to clear his massive gambling debts. Ozzy offers Quam a deal to secure his freedom on one condition. He must help her steal 5 billion naira from the company of his ex-girlfriend, Toon. Left with no other choice, Quam agrees. In the next scene, Quam, Imam and Emika are standing outside the police station. Imam asks Quam to take them to his house so they can begin planning. Later at Quam's house, the trio brainstorms ways to steal the 5 billion naira. The plan requires Quam to plant a flash drive in Toon's computer, allowing Ozzy and her tech team to handle the rest. This proves difficult because Quam hasn't seen Toon in years since their breakup. Emika suggests throwing her an engagement party, since she recently got engaged. The scene shifts to a photo shoot where Toon is managing her models. When Quam walks in, Toon freezes in shock for a second before walking over to hug him and exchange pleasantries. Quam congratulates her on her engagement and asks to speak in private. She is initially skeptical, wondering why an ex she hasn't seen in years suddenly showed up, but she eventually listens to him. Quam offers to host an engagement party for old time's sake, but Toon declines. That is liquid cash talking. When was the last time you heard a girl say no to a free party hosted on her behalf? Back at the house, Quam, Imam and Emika are frustrated that Toon declined their only way in. Suddenly the doorbell rings. It's Rautimi and Hadiza. Hadiza is surprised to see Quam out of jail, knowing how difficult it should have been. Quam lies, claiming he used a connection to beg the senator, who then dropped the charges. Though reluctant, Hadiza believes him but promises to keep an eye on him. Quam, Emika, and Imam try another tactic by attending a breast cancer awareness program hosted by the Odger Group, Toon's company. They hope to get close enough to insert the flash drive into her laptop. The attempt fails, though Quam and Emika almost count it as a win after grabbing free breasts under the guise of a self-examination. The organizers quickly foil their plans and force them to sit together and examine themselves instead. Oh, that really hurts. Even as the narrator, I felt that in my bones. The scene changes to Ozzy scolding them for their failed attempts. She suggests switching to Plan B. Quam is shocked as he was completely out of the loop. Because it is impossible for Toon to rekindle an old flame, they have to account for her recent engagement. Later we see Quam, Imam and Emika attending a party hosted by Toon. Imam feigns a medical seizure to grab Toon's attention. Once they have her alone, Quam confesses the truth. He explains that he was forced to target her because he is in deep trouble, and that Imam and Emeka are using him to steal 5 billion naira from her. Shocked, Toon asks for clarification. Quam calms her down and discreetly passes her a note with a phone number, telling her they will talk later. All hell breaks loose at 3 a.m. when Toon calls Quam. Her systems have been hacked, showing only blank screens, and her IT team is scrambling to restore them. Ozzy then calls Quam and demands to speak with Toon face-to-face. Taking responsibility for the cyber attack, Ozzy demands a ransom of 5 billion naira to restore access to the files. Toon agrees to raise the money. However, it is later discovered that the picture of Ozzy that Quam sent to Toon was actually a Trojan horse virus. Furious, Toon slaps Quam across the face, blaming him for the disaster and banning him from ever seeing her again. Quam tries to apologize, but the damage is already done. Quam returns home frustrated and sober. Finding Imam and Emeka still at his house, he orders them to leave since their boss, Ozzy, got what she wanted. That is when they drop a bombshell. Ozzy actually works for them. Imam and Emeka are the real masterminds behind the Baro Baro boys. They created the name as teenagers while running scams at a computer village. They made so much money so quickly that they were nearly caught by the police, prompting them to flee to the US. They hit Quam with the ultimate shocker. He has been set up and he now works for them. They threaten to call the cops, have him arrested, or even unalive him if he doesn't cooperate. Terrified for his life, Quam has no choice but to comply. The next day, Toon calls Quam to tell him the money is ready. Quam provides a cryptocurrency account, and she transfers the funds, reiterating that she never wants to see him again. Panicking, Quam calls a friend to book a flight to Europe. He runs home, packs a suitcase and prepares to flee, but has a last-minute change of heart. Just then, Dada, the building manager at Avatar Investments where Quam was scammed out of his original 500 million naira, walks in. He informs Quam that Imam and Emeka know he is trying to run away and sent Dada to bring him back to the office immediately. The scene changes to the office, where Imam and Emeka are holding Quam at gunpoint. Quam begs for his life, but Imam shoots him in the hand anyway. She then orders Ozzy to clean up the mess, leaving Ozzy with no choice but to obey. 2 weeks later, Quam is hanging out at a club with Rautimi. Noticing Quam's bandaged hand, Rautimi asks what happened. Quam brushes it off as an accident. Seeing that Quam is still troubled over losing 500 million naira, Rautimi jokingly tells him he will make it back. To cheer him up, Rautimi orders 2 shots and offers Quam a massive opportunity. He wants Quam to join his company for an oil lifting contract involving 5 new wells. In just 6 months, Quam stands to make 500 million naira. Oh God, I need a friend like this. Overwhelmed with joy, Quam orders free drinks for the entire club. After leaving the club, Quam is approached by Ozzy, who reveals that Rautimi is their next target. Shocked and protective of his best friend, Quam tries to quit, but Ozzy reminds him he doesn't have a choice. Saddened by the news, Quam turns to drinking. Suddenly, he is kidnapped by unknown gunmen who turn out to be Hadiza and Toon. They interrogate him, asking if he is the head of the Baro Baro boys, and promise to protect him if he confesses. Quam tells them they can't protect him and says he would rather just go to jail. Left with no options, Hadiza lets him go. When Quam gets home, Emeka and Imam are waiting for him. They beat him up, demanding to know why he was talking to the police. They brag about their plans, stating they intend to attack Toon again for another 10 to 20 billion naira, and claim they will frame Hadiza by making it look like she accepted a 250 million naira bribe. Unbeknownst to them, Quam is wearing a wire. Sensing something is wrong, Emeka grabs Quam and tears his shirt open, exposing the device. But it's too late, the police have been listening the entire time. The police break in and arrest Emeka and Imam. As Hadiza and Ozzy walk in, Imam is stunned by Ozzy's betrayal. A flashback reveals that when Imam shot Quam's hand and told Ozzy to clean up the mess, Ozzy had secretly slipped Quam a note telling him not to open it until he got home. For the past 2 weeks, Quam, Ozzy, Hadiza, and Toon had been secretly collaborating to take down Emeka and Imam, the true leaders of the Baro Baro boys, B. After the arrest, Quam asks Hadiza when he will get his 500 million naira back. Hadiza tells him to check the Interpol website. He quickly checks his phone and discovers there is a $50 million reward for capturing the leaders of B. Overjoyed, Quam realizes his financial future is secure. Later, we see the police bring Emeka and Imam into Hadiza's office to offer them a deal, which they agree to take. What deal did the police offer them? If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more Nollywood movie stories right here on Nolly Recap TV and Stories. and which movie you recommend we do next.